Hello YouTubers. In this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a bunch of my standard writing pencils. For the most part they're number 2 pencils, HB pencils. There's a couple of maybe there's one or two number 1s thrown in. I'll mention each one as I go along. But what I've done here is I just wrote a paragraph of what I thought as I was writing the paragraph, what I thought of the pencil I was using. So let's just jump right into it, because this video is really about comparing 2 pencils, but I wanted to bring you to the reason why I chose to compare these 2 pencils. So let's get going. First off, I talk about the USA Gold pencil. Let me just get that pencil here real quick. USA Gold. Alright, here's what I said about the USA Gold pencil. I said, this is the USA Gold pencil. It is a good pencil, but I wish it was a little darker. It isn't too toothy, but quite smooth in relation to other pencils of its class. Basically, you know, your Ticonderogas and so forth, you know, your usual school pencil. It is smoother than your general school pencil. Not so much in comparison to the others we'll be talking about, but that's it for USA Gold. And you can see it is a lighter pencil than these next ones you see here. So let's get on to the next one. This one is talking about the General Semi-Hex. This is the General Semi-Hex 498. Well, this is the number 1, not the number 2. So the number 1 is listed as a extra soft pencil, and it is, you can see, a little bit darker. This is the General Semi-Hex 498 number 1 pencil. It appears to be mildly darker, but that is to be expected from a pencil that is rated a number 1 pencil as opposed to a number 2. Okay, it's a good pencil. It's darker because it's a number 1. Okay, so it's good. Let's move on. Now we see the Faber-Castell number 2. Okay, the number 2. Alright, let's make sure I got the right one here, because I actually have 2 of them here. Okay. This one says number 2B. I wrote HB here, so we'll just take that off. Okay, it's a number 2B pencil. And here's what I have to say about that. This is the Faber-Castell 1112 pencil, the number 2 B. B. Erased the wrong letter, B. It's a smooth pencil, I could tell. It is clearly smoother than the 2 pencils that we've already covered. I really like how it glides on the paper and the darker tonal value. Of the 3 so far, this is the one I would prefer using. So I would prefer using this number 2 Faber-Castell 1112 pencil over the General Semi-Hex number 1 or the USA Gold pencil. Alright. The next one listed here is the Staedtler Norica. And I've talked a lot about that in my other videos, but here it is again. The Staedtler Norica. It is a number 2 HB pencil. This is the Staedtler Norica, and it feels even smoother than the 3 listed above. So far it's the smoothest pencil I've tested. Its tonal value appears on par with the Faber-Castell number 2 that is shown just above. And so far, this is my most favorite number 2 pencil. So that's my favorite number 2 pencil so far of these comparisons. Okay, then we come down here and see if I get that in here. Alright, another Faber-Castell 1112, comes in different flavors. So here's the number 1 pencil equals 2B. And it says this is the Faber-Castell 1112 number 1 2B pencil. It is supposed to be darker than its number 2 sibling above, though it is difficult to discern. It writes nice, though I find the number 2 to be the better choice. So between this number 1 and this number 2 of the 112 series of Faber-Castell, I like the number 2 better. Why? Because I don't notice one being darker than the other necessarily. They look pretty much the same to me. The number 2 felt a lot smoother, or a little smoother in comparison to its number 1, which had a more powdery feel to it, which makes sense, of course. So I prefer, of course, the number 2. But the Norica I still like better of these. Now we move on to the next comparisons. Here I have some more. And this time I went with the Palomino Forest Color, or yes, Forest Choice, excuse me, Forest Choice pencil. And I like it. It's really nice. It's kind of a natural wood pencil rather than being painted. Now it says it has a little tooth, but writing feels nice and glides well. I can see using this pencil for taking notes and being quite happy with it. Okay, so it's a good pencil. It writes nice. It glides well. It does have a little bit of a tooth, so you can kind of feel it. And some people actually prefer a little tooth to their pencil. Then the next one I covered was the General's Cedar Point number 333. It's a number 2 HB pencil. And it feels much like the Palomino First Choice shown above, and the appearance is the same. As far as the tonal value that you see here, pretty much the same. Thus, I would just go with the one that costs less. I didn't look up prices for you, but whichever one of those two, if you want a natural wood pencil, I certainly would just take whichever is the less pricey one, or you just happen to favor one company over another. That's fine. Now, this is the Palomino Golden Bear number 2 pencil. Okay. And right away I can tell this pencil has less tooth, which means it's smoother, than the 2 listed above, the 2 natural wood ones. It writes really smooth, and I prefer it to the Forest Choice and the Cedar Point. I happen to like the smooth feel pencils, the ones that glide like more closer to butter, oil, whatever you want to say, the nice smooth. Some people like a little bit of tooth. I don't. I like it to just glide across the paper. It just seems to be, for me, less fatigue after a while, because it just glides like butter if it's smoother. So it has less tooth than these 2 natural ones, so I would prefer this Golden Bear to those 2 I had just mentioned. Okay, then it brings me to this pencil that I picked up recently called the Basic, B-A-Z-I-C. It's a 2B pencil. It writes okay, but for a 2B pencil, it fails to be darker than the HB number 2 pencil shown here, and does not stand out as better for writing than the above. And I also notice an occasional grit when writing, so I don't really care for this pencil too much. And it doesn't have an eraser because it's more like a drawing pencil. And I do a lot of drawing. Personally, I'm not attracted to this pencil. Okay, then this brings me to the Mirado Black Warrior. It's a round pencil rather than the others that are hex. You can see it's just going to keep rolling here. And that for some may be a negative because it's just going to roll off the table. And for others, they might like the feel of a round pencil rather than a hex pencil. Okay, but what I had here is that this is an HB number 2 pencil. Okay, and right away I can see that it has a darker tonal value than the others on this page, so it's mildly darker than these others, which lends to the name Black Warrior. Let's see, it writes smooth with just a little bit of tooth. That is not a bad thing. So it felt good to write with, though it had a little tooth. It wasn't to the point where I would have considered it a negative, but rather it was just, it's okay, you know. The lead wears a little more than the HBs above, which would make sense considering that it does have a darker tonal value. But that is to be expected. Next to the Staedtler Norica, I would have to put this pencil. So I had already mentioned before that I found that the Norica, Staedtler Norica HB number 2, in my opinion, was the best pencil. And this Mirado Black Warrior, you know, pretty much goes head to head with the Staedtler Norica. So I put the two against each other for the following test. Okay, here you see what I've done is I've written out a whole page of text. Now I'm just going to zoom out from this so that you can just see it all at one glance. Not that that helps much, but you can see that I wrote half a page using the Mirado Black Warrior HB number 2, and then I did it again with the Staedtler Norica HB number 2. Word for word, they're identical. I wrote every single word that I copied from a page online, word for word, and then I wrote it all word for word again. The tonal value between the two pencils are very, very close. Just by looking at it, if someone handed me this page, I really couldn't tell that one was darker than the other. They seem to be like written with the same pencil. So as far as tone is concerned, the dark tone, both the Norica and the Black Warrior have the same dark tone. They're equal in that regards. But here's where they separate. The Staedtler Norica was smoother, noticeably smoother, much less tooth, or just almost no tooth at all. I just felt that it glided really, really nice in comparison to the Black Warrior, which had a little bit of tooth to it, a little bit of a drag to it. This just glided. The Norica beats the Black Warrior in smoothness. So if you like the tooth, you would go with the Black Warrior. Otherwise, if you like that black wing feel, that writes like butter feel, you'll go with the Norica. Also, the interesting thing is after I had written both paragraphs with these two pencils, and I started with them sharpened, by the time I was done writing the exact same paragraph, the Black Warrior actually wore a little more than the Norica. So the Norica actually has a little more tip retention than the Black Warrior. So the Norica wins in that regards too. So overall, for an inexpensive pencil, once again, as I've concluded before, the Staedtler Norica number 2 is my pencil of choice for your everyday writing needs. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope to see you at my next video. Thank you.